Yo, welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show, the first episode of December, man. Hope everybody out there had a happy and safe holidays if you celebrate. I had a good time, didn't do too much, hung around, watched some foosball on TV, went to the movie theater the day after Thanksgiving. Insane, insanely packed movie theater for the day after Thanksgiving. Note for you all if you didn't already know that. I try to avoid it, but it happens. But nonetheless, appreciate you hanging out in here, having a good time with me after the holidays, moving into more holidays in this month, as well as all kinds of fun things going on. So again, appreciate you all hanging out with me. Going to be talking Moana 2, spoiler free, as well, kind of doing the Rock appreciation kind of deal this week because I did see two of the Rock's movies this week in theaters back to back, both of which were very busy on the day I went to see them in theaters. Obviously, Moana 2 we'll be talking about, and Red One. I went to go see that one. I was going to do both of them in one episode, but I feel like I didn't want to do that. Kind of space them out, give them their own breath to breathe and all that stuff. They are two separate films, but both starring The Rock. And was like, I'll just do Rock Appreciation Week, man, because I've been a fan of The Rock for as long as I can remember, going back to early wrestling days with The Rock, when he was a bad guy, when he was a heel, as they call it in the wrestling world. Didn't matter, man. I was a fan. I've always liked The Rock. Love what he's done on screen and in the wrestling world. And when he jumped to Hollywood, I felt kind of like, let's keep supporting him. Let's go with him, man. Let's go watch these movies that he does. So I've seen pretty much every single Rock film, and typically I don't see animated films in movie theaters, but I was like, screw it. Let's go. I like that first Moana movie, so let's go check out Moana 2 in theaters. Let's support The Rock and all that stuff. And looking into it and talking about both of these movies, what I saw going into this recording is that even more towards The Rock appreciation is that he did a benchmark that hasn't been seen before. I had to do a lot of research, but some research that has been done is he is the first major Hollywood star to have two number one theatrical releases open in the same month. Now, not the same year. Obviously, that's happened before with other actors, but in the same month. So Dwayne The Rock Johnson, no other star has ever pulled this off. So he had Red One come out and hit number one in November, and he also has Moana 2 now out that hits number one in the month of November. So big deal, man. That's big. It's a big Hollywood thing. Say what you want about The Rock, whether you like him as an actor or not. He is a huge star and deserves it. He's been kicking behind for a number of decades here in the world of Hollywood and just continue to do that and still coming back to the WWE, being the final boss, man. Can't wait to see what he's got next. There's a lot of stuff going on with the bloodline over there. Talk about stories. We got to wait for all that. Talking about December as well. Check it out. Right. Nope. Right there. Broke out the Nightmare Before Christmas tree deal. It is black. It is a black tree with Jack Skeleton, Sally, Oogie Boogie somewhere around there, and then you got, of course, Zero as the star, which makes perfect sense. But that I got at Walgreens. So if you're looking for that cool thing, got it at Walgreens. If you have Walgreens near you, go pick it up. But without further ado, let's jump into this movie. Like again, Rock Appreciation Week. I will have a Red One review later this week, but we're starting it off with Moana 2. The film is rated PG for action. In peril, the movie is 1 hour 40 minutes and it's a kids family comedy adventure animation film, which is currently playing in theaters. Moana 2 takes audiences on an expansive new voyage with Moana, Maui, and a brand new crew of unlikely seafarers. After receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana must journey to the far seas and into dangerous, long lost waters for an adventure unlike anything she's ever faced before. And again, the movie is doing very well in the box office as it is expected to be number one, which is kind of surprising. Wicked has been the huge talk of the movie world for a while, but Moana has come in here and said, "Get out of here! We're going to be number one." So there you go. Moana's number one at the theaters, and that's where it goes with The Rock and all that stuff. So mentioned it briefly before. I liked that first Moana movie a lot. I watched it again before going to see this movie in theaters. Listened to the soundtrack on the ride to the movie theater, to the first movie soundtrack on the way to the movie theater to see Moana 2. Like, I was pretty hyped for it, man. Like, I was pretty excited to see how everything would end up working out since the last time we hung out with our hero character of Moana. Speaking of box office, the voice actress for Moana, gonna mess up her name. I'm terrible with names. I think it's Lord. Let's pull it up. I am absolutely terrible with pronouncing names. Moana voice actress is, oh God, how do you say her name? Where's she at? There's Alui. Alui. Louis. We're just gonna go with Louis. She was also in earlier this year, very beginning of the year in January. She was in the Mean Girls musical that got turned into as a box office show, much like Wicked. Box office show got turned into box office show, Broadway show that got turned into a live action movie earlier in the year. We started with that, and then we end the year with Wicked. But Mean Girls came out in January and was #1 at the box office for 3 weeks, and then longer, maybe? No, 3 weeks, I believe is correct. Double check it if you want to, but I think it was like 3 weeks. So she herself has had 2 films this year, and that was #1 at the box office. So give her some kudos as well because she deserves it. Very talented lady. She's great having her back in Moana and having that character back in the realm here. It was cool. It's cool to see what's going on with her. We had a great adventure with her in the first movie and to see what was going to happen in this movie. To be honest with you, I really didn't know what this movie was about going in. Like I just knew it was Moana 2 and The Rock's in it, right? So again, supporting The Rock, I'm gonna go see his movie in theaters. So I didn't know the idea. Like that synopsis I just read to you, first time I've ever heard anything about what this movie was actually going to be about. And I don't remember ever seeing a trailer for the movie either. So just kind of did, went to the movie theaters. Like I'm going to the movie theater to see a movie. Moana's out. Moana 2, going to check it out, man. The Rock, let's support. So went to that theater without knowing much of the thing, sat down and enjoyed this movie. Did I enjoy it as much as the first movie? No, but I feel that that's not necessarily a bad thing about this movie. This movie still feels comfortable to the world of Moana that we got introduced to with the first film as well. Um, I see a lot of people going back and forth. Apparently, this movie was supposed to be a television series for Disney Plus at some point, and then they turned it into a movie, and people are kind of complaining about that, and they're saying, that darn Disney rushing things and doing a terrible job, and it looks terrible. It does not look terrible at all. I don't know where they're getting that. Maybe the screen they saw it on in theaters was not the best of screens, but I went there and saw it, and it looked perfectly fine to me. So I don't know where that's coming from. But the movie itself, good story. Moana's now part of she's the Wayfinder, right? And she's doing the stuff, and she's helped save her island. And now the goal of this movie is going out further into the ocean and all that stuff, and finding more people and trying to help the world come together in this Moana movie and all that stuff. And she's now, the ancestors are calling on her to help because she's obviously this great wayfinder and all that stuff. She still has her mom and dad. She has a baby sister in this movie, which is adorable. The reaction between those two, so adorable, man. And all that stuff. We get to meet back up with Maui. Maui's out on his demigod adventures in this movie. Of course, talking around myself, not spoiling anything, but he's out there doing his thing. And of course, by happenstance, they of course come back together, and they now have to go on a journey together to this big adventure battle that they have to go on to help bring the worlds together. So overall, I think the story is good. Obviously, the cast is good. The majority of the same cast from the first movie. Louise killing. Sorry if I messed up your name if you're watching this by any means. Probably not, but sorry. And then of course Dwayne Johnson killing it as Maui as always. If there's something about the movie that was the biggest downside of this movie as opposed to the first movie, it would be the soundtrack. And there's nothing necessarily totally against this movie with the soundtrack. The songs are good. They're just not as great as the first movie. Like I remember coming out of that first movie and like, boom, pull out the soundtrack. I'm rocking these songs again. How Far You Go, amazing. Freaking You're Welcome, incredible. Whole soundtrack, fantastic. Again, let's do it on the way to seeing this movie. It's great. Coming out of this movie, like I remember the songs were good, but I wasn't pulled to be like, I want to listen to the soundtrack again. Like I'm going to need to watch the movie probably a couple more times before the songs, hit me in that perfect way that it did with that first movie. So the song choice, and of course that goes with the fact that Lin-Manuel Miranda is not necessarily part of this movie. He's not doing the music and writing it. The duo that's doing the songs this movie did contact or were in contact with Lin-Manuel Miranda at points to get like some tips and pointers and stuff like that on what to do, but he himself was not writing and putting together, which of course is a downgrade from the first movie, which again, nothing against the duo that's doing the songs in this movie, but obviously, right, he is of course busy doing the songs for the upcoming Mufasa movie that's coming out later this year, which I get. You're jumping around, do is what you're working on. Lion King, one of the biggest freaking Disney movies of all time. You're now doing this Mufasa movie and trying to write music to live up to the Lion King world is a big deal. So can't wait to see that and see and hear what he puts together with the Mufasa film. But overall, man, Moana was very enjoyable. Like I had a good time with it. packed experience. The crowd had a good time. The crowd cheered at the end of the movie. They were reacting good. We got some good laughs out of them and all that stuff in the crowd. So the crowd loved it. Again, the box office is doing well for it. Again, I mean, people are going to hate on the internet to hate anyways, but this idea that the movie doesn't look good, I don't know what they saw. Looks perfectly fine to me. And again, the song's not terrible, but could be better. But the story's really good. The performance is really good. So overall, Moana 2 is worth your time to see, especially if you're doing family thing and going out there and all that stuff during the holidays. It is worth your time to check that out. So for me, Moana 2 is definitely something for you to check out. And while you're at it, stay in the theaters. There is a mid-credit scene to the movie, which should be shaping where we're going in the future with the Moana films. But just that mid-credit scene, no end-of-credit scenes, just a mid-credit scene after the song plays. So overall, I liked that film, man. So if you saw it over the weekend or any other time since it's been out, let me know your thoughts down in the comments on Moana 2, man. But congratulations on that. The Rock doing it. His song was good as well. It's hard to live up to the You're Welcome song, but still a good song nonetheless. So good on The Rock again. That is number one of the two movies that I'll be reviewing this week. Again, look forward later that we'll have the red one. I say we, me. I'll have the red one review for you as well as we are now. I'm glad that's what I was trying to do. I wanted to see this movie closer to. We'll talk about it when we get to red one. So that's what's going on with. Those are my thoughts with Moana. Now, news wise. Not a lot to talk about. I did pick up some pieces to talk with you about. Not really anything horror to talk about, which kind of fits. We're talking a Disney movie here. So Disney, of course, is behind Alien and Predator and all that stuff. But nothing really horror news to talk about at the moment. DC things to talk about. Big week for DC releases. So first and foremost, the DCU officially begins this week with Creature Commandos releasing on Disney on at Max. Geez, I mess up. It was HBO Max at one point. Now it's Max, but that is coming out this week, man. So this is something we've been waiting for a while with the DCU to finally start its wheels, right? Because there's just all this talk, and when is this happening? When is that happening? All these things, and then what's the story and all that stuff. And now we're finally going to get to a world of it finally happening over there on Max. So DC Studios' first storyline will begin this week on December 5th when the first episode releases. Now, I don't know if they're probably going to go the Penguin route where they're releasing weekly. Let's see. Creature Commandos will all episodes be released at the same time. Yes, all 7 episodes of Creature Commandos will be no. So episodes 1 and 2, December 5th, episode 3, December 12th, episode 4, December 19th, episode 5, December 26th. And then episode 6, it says 2. That's probably a typo. Good job, AI. The show will be premiering with the first 2 episodes Thursday, December 5th. From there on, fans can expect a new episode to drop every Thursday until the final episode airs on Thursday, January 9th. So we're getting 7 episodes, it looks like, of Creature Commandos. I'm super excited about this, man. Not just because it's the start of the DCU and because I'm a huge DC fan, but just the stuff I've seen in the show. The artwork is spectacularly fantastic. The trailer that I've seen for it looks like it's going to be a bossa nova fun time, man. So I can't wait for that to finally be here and for us to finally start the DCU, man. It feels like something I've been waiting for a while, and to finally get in that world and see those characters and play in that world now and see what James Gunn's been conjuring up and writing and putting together to start his universe of DC characters. So excited, man. So again, that's releasing this week. Also, this release, I can't talk. Also, this week releasing for DC is the documentary Super/Man, the Christopher Reeve story, is hitting Max this week as well. So you're gonna get double the fun this week if you're a DC fan with those 2 things. Great things have been said about that documentary, and I can't wait to finally check that out and see what it's all about. I wasn't able to get to it in theaters when it had its very limited release. It was hard to get to, but I am nonetheless very excited to check that out when it hits Max this week as well. And then last thing to talk about before we get out of here, which is kind of fun news, especially if you're a Johnny Depp fan. And now there's rumors of another Johnny Depp, Tim Burton film happening. So what I'm What I mean by that is Tim Burton was at a Comic-Con type event, fan fest kind of deal, and was doing some Q&As, and he was being asked about certain things. And one of the things that he was asked about was Johnny Depp. And will we see, quote, where is this? Where's the quote? He was asked if he will see another collaboration with Depp. Tim Burton said, quote, well, I'm sure there will be, end quote. So it's possible. Now, of course, there's always been those rumors. A lot of people thought he was going to be playing a character in the live action in the Beetlejuice movie that recently came out earlier this year. Obviously, he did not end up playing a character in that movie, but it's one of those things where I love their collaborations. I'm happy if they do collaborate again, and hopefully get things rolling again with Johnny Depp, because Johnny Depp is a really good freaking actor, and it sucks the things that he's gone through, and you hope for a reintroduction and ability for him to be able to get back into Hollywood and doing these things. And Tim Burton is a good gateway to get that back going, because again, their connection, their history together, and their chemistry together. So no idea what it would be, but what we do know that it won't be because of this Q&A is that it will not be an Edward Scissorhands sequel. So also in that Q&A, during the Q&A, he was asked if Edward Scissorhands would be getting a sequel. He said, quote, there are certain films I don't want to make a sequel to. I didn't want to make a sequel to that because it felt like a one-off thing. I didn't want to have a sequel for The Nightmare Before Christmas because it also felt like a one-off thing. Certain things are best left on their own, and that for me is one of them. So don't expect an Edward Scissorhands sequel or a Nightmare Before Christmas sequel. Which I'm perfectly fine with. Like, I agree with what he's saying there. Obviously, I mean, it's his creation. He would know best. But there's no need for an Edward Scissorhands sequel. Like, that movie is perfectly fine where it's at. And we don't really need a Nightmare Before Christmas sequel either. Like, I know that movie has taken off in a big way. It's become this huge classic of a film, especially people watch it during Halloween time, during Christmas time. They have a ride overlay during this time for Disneyland. They don't do it at Walt Disney World because they're freaking smucks. But there's just this huge world of Nightmare. Again, Walgreens. Walgreens has stuff of Nightmare Before Christmas in it every single year around this time. Like, they fill up that place. So it's a big thing. And, trying to make money off of it, I can see a need there. But, I mean, they're probably making plenty of money off of merchandise, and there's no real need for them to do another movie. Like, I don't see a point. Don't need a live action of it either. Like, that's not something that needs to happen either. Like, I think it's fine living on its own. Just let it live. It gets played all the time on what, Freeform? Is that what they call ABC Family now? It gets played on that all the time. Halloween time, Christmas time. It's in all kinds of stores for you to buy merchandise of. The ride overlays, not Walt Disney World, because smucks. But I don't think you need to jump back in the world. The world's doing perfectly fine, making all kinds of money for you. Edward Scissorhands, no. Again, nothing to really need to be played with there either. It's like, of course, it's going to be asked about because Beetlejuice just came out after decades since the first Beetlejuice film. And they're like, hey, it's really successful. Let's do another. What else you got? Don't need it. Like, just let him make up some fun stuff, man. He's always good at making up some fun, creative things and just working from there. So those two movies don't need to really work with or do a sequel to. Just let him create, man. Let him create something. We'll see where it all goes from there. But seeing where this is going, that's the end of this episode. Appreciate you hanging out with me. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. Appreciate you all hanging out with me and having a good time. I'm going to be, myself, Tombstone Josh, going to be going to Universal and Disney soon. So I'm going to try to make sure I have an episode out for you for that week. But good things are happening. A lot of good movies getting ready to come out as well. Werewolves movie is getting ready to come out this week. Super stoked and excited for that. What else is coming? Something else is coming out this week that seems like it was a big movie. Checking my Regal app right now. Hang on. There's something else coming out this week that I'm like, yeah, I want to see that. Come on. It's not Mufasa, right? No, Mufasa's the 20th. Sonic's the 20th. God, those movies are going back to back. Is it Y2K? Yes, Y2K. Y2K is coming out this week, as well as that Werewolves movie. Excited for both of them. Screw you, internet haters. I love Rachel Zegler. Can't wait to see her Snow White eat it. But very excited for werewolves. That's gonna be good. And I'm excited for this Y2K movie. See how that works out, man. Maybe another double feature. Who knows? But that's gonna do it for this week's episode. Again, appreciate y'all hanging out with me, having a good time. I'm a goofy freaking nerd movie guy who's just has a blast doing this show. And I hope you have a blast with me hanging out, man. Love doing this show. Remember to treat yourself kind. I know the holiday season is tough for a lot of people, especially with depression and all that stuff at the moment. Just understand you do matter. You are important. Don't let the world bring you down, man. I know it's putting pressure on you and all that stuff, but you are important. And guess what? Pressure makes diamonds, right? So keep believing in yourself. Keep trusting yourself. You are incredible. You matter. You are important to this world. And can't wait for the rest of the world to see how incredible you are, man. But as always, appreciate you hanging out with me. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. Remember, there is a Red One review coming out later this week, and we'll have some more fun throughout the month leading into the new year and all kinds of fun stuff, man. But appreciate you all as always. Have a wonderful rest of the day, time, month, year, all that. And as always, remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.